going to record this video. So you go to lecture module 3, lecture 8, here, this PDF, okay? So this is a question. So if you have already got this question, can you just give me a second? Maybe do a sum up so I know everyone has already got the information. So this is a question we are going to do together today, okay? Got it, others? Thank you. Other students, you able to open this file? Okay, thank you.
So where is it again?
It's on the Moodle website under module 3, and then there's one PDF called lecture 8 handout. So module 3, right? And then here, lecture 8 handout. Okay, cool. I hope everyone is there. Okay, so we are going to do this together today. Okay, we're going to do this together. Okay, so this is a question. Okay, so you were given this question about this ABC. Okay, that's the ABC company unadjusted trial balance. Okay, unadjusted trial balance, right? And then that's as on at December 31st, 2018. So you have these accounts, right? These are names of accounts with the balance, okay? So this one shows you the name of the accounts and the balance, whether it's debit or credit, right? So for example, if you remember this one, cumulative depreciation equipment, this is a credit balance. Remember, this is called a control asset, right? It's an asset account, but has a like a normal credit balance, okay? So 7,000 here. And they, remember in the last class I mentioned, all these expenses account normally have a debit balance, right? See here, these expenses. And the whole point, remember, I emphasize that the total debit has to equal to the total credit, right? If these are not equal, then we are in big trouble. We have to go back to the bookkeeping to figure out what happened. So the bookkeeper must make some mistakes, right? So make sure these two numbers are always equal, okay? So this is unadjusted. And then we were given some additional information, okay? We are going to make some adjusting entries, okay? Make some adjusting entries. So let's read this information, see, okay? What adjusting entry? If you remember, what is adjusting entry? Adjusting entries are the ones I need to record on December 31st. So on this date, I have to record these journal entries, okay? Okay, so then let's take a look at the first one. Depreciation has not yet been recorded for the year. So throughout the year, there's no depreciation expenses being recorded, okay? So we have to make these adjusting entries at the year end, okay? The equipment was purchased at the beginning of 2017, okay? The annual depreciation expenses, 7,000. So can anyone tell me what general adjusting entries I need to make? What do I debit? What do I credit? Anyone? Nobody?
Would you have to credit equipment for 7,000 and debit depreciation expenses for 7,000?
Okay, thank you, Joshua. You are half right. Okay, you are half right. So you debit, you want to recognize the expenses, right? The cost you use for the cost for using the equipment. So you debit the depreciation expenses for 7,000. Okay. And remember, okay, you mentioned you credit equipment. Remember, this equipment has two accounts under equipment. Okay. For this long-term asset, often, okay, if it's a depreciable asset, you have two accounts, right? One is called cost accounts. So from this account, I can see how much I paid for. So originally, I paid 28,000 to buy this equipment. And the second account is a contra asset, which is the cumulative depreciation on equipment. That's the 7,000. So this tells us how much has been depreciated. Okay. So now, Joshua, have you changed your mind?
Yes, I have. Instead of
So
equipment,
what do you credit?
you're supposed to credit accumulated depreciation on equipment.
Awesome, cumulative depreciation, right? Okay, so in this way, the balance of the cost account, the equipment is always 28,000, right? It's not, the balance is not changing because you want to know how much you pay for it, right? But just to know what's the net, right? What's the net? Then you can basically later on, you can work this together. So what's the net? 28 minus 7, right? So now I'm going to, I have to post this entry, right? I have to post this entry. So how should I do it? How should I do it? Okay, so now I should give me a second. I probably need to download this file because right now I cannot write on it. I want to write on it. Sorry, just bear me with 1 second. So I need to download this one. Download the file. I really need to write on this so you can see better. Okay, you can see better. Okay, so here, so I should show you. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. Where is my, okay, sorry. Here we go. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you for your patience. So now I'm going to, I needed to write on this, just for your benefit, you can see better, okay? So now, okay, I have this entry, adjusting entry. So how this adjusted entry is gonna affect my trial balance, right? It's gonna affect my trial balance. So did you see here, depreciation expenses? So I'm going to highlight this. So that's 0, right? That's 0. But now, when you debit here, back to the Excel sheet, you debit depreciation expenses. So that will increase your balance, right? So here, I am going to debit here, 7,000. That's from my adjusting balance, right? From my adjusting balance. $7,000. Okay. Now I'm gonna credit this account for 7,000. Okay. Does that make sense? Did you see this is adjusting entry here on this column? Yeah. Okay, good. So now let's move on to the next point. Okay. Rent was paid in advance for 2018 year on January 1st, 2018. So you have a prepaid rent, okay? You paid it, okay? You paid it in advance, okay? So you paid for 1 year, okay? So on January 1st, 2018, you paid $14,000 upfront for the whole year. And now we are at the end of the year, okay? What's our journal entry should be? Nobody? So in the beginning, January 1st, you paid 14,000 for the rent in 2018, right? Now we are at the end of 2018, right? So now let's take a look. Let's take a look here. Okay, let's take a look here. The rent expenses. The rent expenses. So rent expenses is 13,000. Okay, rent expenses is 13,000. Here you have a prepaid rent, 14,000. My question is, did you use up all your prepaid rent? You paid for 12 months. You paid on January 1st. Now we are at the end of the 12th month, right?
So
did you use all the prepaid rent? Ruben? Yeah, right? Yeah, because you prepaid for 12 months and now 12 months has passed, right? So how much your prepaid should be?
0.
0, thank you. But then if you take a look now, right now the balance is, right now the balance is 1,400, right? How can I make this to be 0 then? Debit or credit prepaid?
Wouldn't it be credit and then debit the like the prepaid amount?
Very good. Thank you. Prepaid rent. You credit prepaid, so the balance will decrease by 14,000, right? You're going to recognize the rent expense,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So you're going to recognize this rent expense.
So is 1,400 what we didn't use for the year?
The 1,400 is the one you have not recognized as rental expenses yet.
So is that like 1 month worth?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So now let's take a look here. So your rent expenses here, you're gonna increase by 1,400, and the prepaid here, that's gonna be a credit of 1,400, right? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So after this journal entry, our objective is to make prepaid rent to be 0, right? Because you prepaid for 12 months, now 12 months has passed. Everything you paid should be expenses already, right? So therefore, by this entry, we make the prepaid rent balance to account have a balance of 0, okay?
So when like a rent comes in, does it come out of the rent expense account or out of the prepaid rent account?
So every month you recognize 1 month's rental expenses.
Okay, regardless of what's in the prepaid.
So this looks like to be, okay, let me think. Okay, so in total, I think, let me just do this math, right? The total expenses is 13,000 plus 14, right? The 13,000 plus 1,400. So that's gonna be 14. So every year, that's the annual, right? And then every month, that's gonna be 1,400 divided by 12, right? So that's gonna be 1,200, okay? So I think maybe the bookkeeper made a mistake, right? the bookkeeper probably made a mistake. So every month they are going to recognize 12 months, 1,200 rent expenses, right? So this question should be better if they leave this to be 1,200, okay? Maybe when they design, make this 1,200, make this 13,200, okay? So then you recognize 11 months rent expenses. Maybe the bookkeeper did something wrong, okay? So this amount is apparently for the last month, okay?
So they've been doing this already each month.
Yeah. So you prepaid, right? So if you, for example, you subscribe to a magazine, right? Or you pay rent. If you make a one-time payment for a subscription period, right? And then for the subscribing service provider, they will recognize the service over a period. They do not recognize it right away because they have not delivered the service. They recognize it every month after they deliver the service, right? So every month you stay in my house, you are going to pay me, 1 month's rent, right? And so that's going to be your 1 month's expenses, right? So does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's take a look at number 3. Employees are owed $2,100 for working the last few days of the 2018 year, but they will not be paid until early 2019. Okay, the year end is December 31st, 2018, right? As of this date, December 31st, 2018, okay, the company owe some salaries to their employees, okay? They owe how much? $2,100, okay, to the employees, and they will pay in January next year, 2019, okay? So how should we recognize this one? Okay, how should we recognize this one? Did you see a liability here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you going to do on your journal entry?
Credited
Credit what?
2,100.
2,100 on what account?
Accounts payable.
Accounts payable, right? So here, accounts payable are often for your suppliers. You buy something from your suppliers. Here, we call it salary payable. Salaries payable. Did you see the account here? There's a salaries payable. Okay, so just give me a second. Did you see the salary payable here? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so you recognize this liability. Your liability increased. You credit salary payable for 2,100. So what do you debit then?
Salaries payable.
Yeah,
Oh,
you credit salary payable. What do you debit?
would that be your salaries expense?
Thank you. Very good. Salaries expense. Okay. That's here. Here, that's the salary expense. Okay. So I am going to transfer this journal entry here. So salary expenses increased by 2,100, and salary payable credit 2,100. Okay, that's my third entry. For a physical check of the supplies storage room determined that there is only $450 worth of supplies remaining on hand on that date. So when you first buy supplies, let's say you pay $1,000, okay? Actually, you paid $2,300 in this case. So where's the supply? It's here. Supplies, $2,300. So when you buy supplies, you pay the $2,300. Okay, that's your asset, right? And then number 4 tells us you have a physical count in the storage room, and you know the remaining balance is $450. Okay, So the supplies balance should be really 450, not 2,300, because during the year you have used the difference. Okay. So can anyone tell me what do I debit, what do I credit? Come on, you should know this.
1850.
1850. So you figured out the number. Okay, let's see if it's right. 1850. 1850. Okay, so that's the difference. How much I paid? How much I paid? 2,300. How much left? 400, 450. The difference is what I used during the year. So that's good job, 1850. So what do I debit? What do I credit?
You credit supplies because it's an asset going down.
Very good. Assets going down. Supplies. You credit supplies. What do you debit?
Like cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is for merchandising company, right? For merchandising company. In this case, if you take a look at the list of accounts name, there's no cost of goods sold. So this must be a service company.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. How about supply expenses?
Sure.
Yeah, supplies expenses. What else we can see here? Yeah, rent, insurance. Yeah, let's just call it supply expenses. Okay. Yeah. So now I need to supply. I need a debit, credit, 1850. And I need to add an additional account. I have to add additional account here. Okay, where should I add it? There's no space. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna squeeze it down here. It should be above the line of the total, but I have nowhere to put it, right? Expenses, and you debit it, right? So that's 18. Does this make sense? Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, thank you. So let's move on to the last one. The company performed part of the work related to the unearned revenue. They only have a third of the work left to complete in the new year. Unearned revenue. Do we have unearned revenue? Did you see it? Here, unearned revenue. 4,500. What is unearned revenue? Unearned revenue is a liability. Okay. Suppose you hire me to be your tutor, right? You won't need me until next year, right? But you have money. Okay, you have money, so you just give me money because I'm in high demand. Okay. So let's say you give me $1,000 to book me, to reserve me for providing tutor service in 2022. Okay. So I received the money. What should I do with the journal entry, the transaction? So I received this money, okay, from you, but I haven't done anything for you yet, okay? So what should I do in this journal entry? Debit what? What is increased on my side?
Wouldn't it be unearned revenue would decrease by 3,000 because you've done 2/3 of the work?
Thank you. Yeah. So
And then
yeah, very good.
Cash would increase by the 3,000 as you've earned the revenue.
So that's going to be revenue, right? That's going to be revenue.
Oh, revenue, yeah.
So what happened here? Okay, very good job. So the unearned revenue, I received your money. Suppose you pay me 1,000, I debit the cash for 1,000 because my cash balance increased by 1,000. There's one more. There's actually $1,000 more in my account, right? So my cash balance increased by 1,000. So I debit cash by 1,000. Then what should I credit? well, it's a liability. If you change your mind saying, professor, guess what? I find a better one. Okay, I don't need you anymore. Should I return the money to you? Or I will keep it. If I keep it, you're going to sue me, right? Okay, so I have the legal liability to pay back you the money, right? So it's an unearned revenue, right? It's a liability. I haven't earned it yet, right? I earned it unless I delivered my service, right? So in this example, so they collected an unearned revenue of what's the balance again? 4,500. Okay, and we learned they have done a third of the work. Okay, so that means a third of that should be considered as earned, right? Because you have done a third of the work, you should recognize a third of that revenue. Change it from unearned to earned. Okay. So anyone can tell me what should I do?
Haven't they earned 2/3 of the revenue?
Oh, yes, because there's only 1/3 left. That means they have completed 2/3. Thank you.
Yeah. And
So,
they,
yeah.
when they'd credit unearned revenue, 3,000.
Okay, so if you credit unearned revenue for 3,000, right? Does
Yeah.
this increase your liability or reduce your liability? When you credit unearned revenue, does this increase your liability or reduce your liability?
Reduce?
Reduce?
Wouldn't. Yeah,
So-
because wouldn't it lower your unearned revenue?
So unearned revenue is a liability, right? If you credit a liability, you increase the balance. If you debit a liability,
Oh, so you debit
you reduce the balance, right? Okay, so did
Okay.
you change your mind?
Yeah, wouldn't you debit it then?
Yeah, debit unearned revenue
Yeah.
for 3,000. And what do you credit?
You'd credit revenue?
Yeah, sales revenue, right? You credit sales revenue, right? Because you have earned that, right? You have done 2/3 of the work. You have earned it, right?
Yeah.
So now let's take a look. Where is my unearned revenue here? And I'm going to debit this for 3,000. Where's my sales? My sales is here. I'm going to credit for 3,000. So now I have all the information, adjusting entry information posted, right? Okay. So this is gonna change the balance, correct or not? So my balance is gonna change, right? So in my adjusted trial balance, after I post these adjusting entries, okay, this balance will be changed, right? Correct? Okay, so for example, just give me 1 second here. I'm going to do this. Okay, so now let's take a look here. So for example, your supplies, okay, let's use the supplies as an example. I'm going to do a T account, okay? A T account for supplies. So this is my supplies. Let's do a T account, okay? T account. So it's gonna be like this. So this is my T account, right? So supply is a asset with normal debit balance. So take a look at the unadjusted trial balance here. The supplies is 2,300. So if it's debit, which side I should put a number to? Left or right?
Left.
2,300. It's a debit balance.
Left.
Left, okay. 2,300. And now you have a credit 1,850. So which side are you going to put the 1,850 if it's a credit?
That'll be on the right.
On the right. Now, what's your ending balance? So your ending balance is this minus this, 450. And that's the number you want, right? You know there are 450 worth of supplies left, right? So for the adjusted trial balance, the supply balance should be 450, not 2,300. Are we clear with this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And this prepaid rent also changed, right? Prepaid rent also changed. So let me do this. Let's do prepaid rent. So prepaid rent is also an asset with a normal debit balance. It starts with 1,400. What did I do? I credited 1,400. And I have a balance of 0. Right? So at the end of the year, there's no prepaid. Does this make sense? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's take a look at the next one. What else we have? Okay. So what else do we have to think about? The account has changed. So this one and this one, cumulative depreciation, right? So cumulated depreciation on equipment. This account is a asset account, is a contra asset with normal credit balance. So what's the opening balance here? The opening balance here is 7,000 credit. So 7,000 credit. And I made here, I have another additional 7,000 credit during the year. Okay, so what's my ending balance? $14,000 credit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So you can see how this entries. Now, next one would be salary payable from 0. Now it's 2,100, right? Unearned revenue from 4,500, and then you reduce it. So now it should be 1,500. Sales, okay, sales. Okay, so what's the sales number? What is the sales number? Only 3,000? That cannot be right. I didn't see any sales number here. Okay. So that's going to be 3,000. And for salary expenses, that's going to increase by, so this number, add this number. Rent expense, 14,400. Depreciation expenses, 7,000. Supply expenses, 1,850. Okay. So how should I do this? Okay. So now let's see. My account should be, if I do it here, if I put it here, let's say adjust the trial balance. So my cash would be the same. Okay, I have a debit here, and I have a credit here. Okay, so my cash would be the same, right? I'm gonna use a different color. So my cash will be the same, nothing has changed. Still 11,000. My account receivable, still the same, 8,500. My supplies, what's my supply? Anyone?
450.
450. Okay, good. What's my prepaid?
0.
0. Very good. What's my equipment cost account? Any changes for the equipment cost account?
No changes.
So it's still 28,000. How about my equipment accumulation depreciation account?
14,000.
Yeah, 14,000. So should I put it here or here? Debit or credit?
Credit.
Credit. Okay. And then let's move on. Accounts payable would be the same, right? No adjustment.
Yep.
And my salary payable would be 2,100. Credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
My unearned revenue is credit 1,500. Right? My common shares still 5,000. My return earnings here is still 207,600. And my sales is 3,000. My salary expenses, now it's a debit, right? Now it's a debit. These two together, that will be 158,600. These two together. My rent expenses is gonna be these two together, 14,400. My insurance, 0, still 0. Okay. My depreciation, 7,000. And my supply expenses, 18,500. Okay. And the dividend declared, that's the. Okay, so now if you do a calculation, my total debit and the total credit should equal. Can anyone try this for me? Add up all this total debit and add up all this total credit, see if they are the same. Okay, can you please help me?
So the total debits
Yep.
is 4,150.
4,150.
150.
4,150. It probably should be more than that.
The
Because
debits?
total debit,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm looking at the wrong chart. My bad.
So total debit, that means I'm gonna add all these purple numbers, on this column, right? Because this is all the debit balance.
For credit, I got 233,200.
Okay. Did anyone get the debit?
For the debit, I got 236,400.
236,400. Oh boy, We don't agree with each other. We are in trouble. Wow.
I might have missed something.
Okay. So I mean, we need more people to do the calculation. So we want to know, which number is right, or maybe neither of the number is right. So anyone else has done the calculation?
I got the same as him for credit.
Oh, you get the credit also to 36,400,
No, 233,200.
233,200,
Yep.
233. Okay, can somebody else do the debit side?
I did
We
the
had a-
debit side, and
Yeah.
it's 236,400. So the
Okay.
same.
Okay, so I did something wrong. Oh, maybe, you know what? Maybe the question is wrong. Maybe this number doesn't add up. Okay, I have to let Sonia know about this. So something is wrong. The reason for that, if these two numbers are correct, 230, 700, if that's correct, so I can do it very quickly from here, right? So just give me a second. So that's 51, 58, 72, 72, that's gonna be 9050, 9050. Yeah, these numbers are off, too much off. Something's wrong. I think the numbers are off. Yeah, because if this is together, this is like 9050. If you add
No,
this,
the number seems correct.
yeah.
Like from the original accounts seem accurate.
Oh,
The
you
debit
add
side
it.
of
Okay.
yeah, the debit side seems to be, unless I also made a mistake. I don't know,
11.
but for me it seems correct.
Okay.
Yeah, when I did it, they're both the same.
Oh, I see. My bad, right? I should put this. Did you see this 60? Okay, can anyone tell me what mistake I made?
Yeah,
So
I
this
did.
6,600, this is a credit, right? It's accounts payable. Now I think it makes sense, right? So now I have 98, right? 9 is even more, right? So I have 98. And yeah, I think now it's closer. How about this side?
Yeah, everything adds up now to 239,800.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. See, we are happy now, right? So this two has to be the same. And it has to be the same because we start with a balance. So with the starting point is these two numbers, they are balanced. And when we make the adjusting entries, right? It's in pairs, right? You see, we have a debit, we have a credit, debit, credit, debit, credit. So, it has to be balanced, right? You start with balance, and every time you debit, credit is all balanced. So your end result should be balanced, right? So this is your adjusted trial balance, okay? So do we have any questions about this whole process? So I want to recap on this. So all we started is, this is the year end. You have an unadjusted trial balance, these numbers, okay? We cannot use these numbers yet because there are certain adjusting entries we had to make at the year end date, October 31st, December 31st, 2018. How do we know? We are going to have some information, okay? So that's where these 5 bullet points here, the information given. So for each information, we want to evaluate, do we need to make adjusting entry? If we need to make adjusting entry, what do we debit on what account for what amount, right? What do I credit on what account for what amount, right? So you can see that's what we did, right? For these 5 adjusting entries. And so for your convenience, you just, put it side by side, right? For the same account. And then in the adjusted trial balance, okay, you have to work it out. What's the balance? What's the adjusted balance? So for cash, there's no adjusting entry made onto cash. So that balance won't change, right? For supplies, originally is 23 debit, and now we credit 1850. So now they have a remaining 450, right? So that's your adjusted balance. Similar ideas, right? You can see I made all this adjustment, okay? Do we have any questions on this?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Thank you, Taylor. If you feel pretty good, sum up, and then I know, right? Then I understand you got it. Otherwise, I can spend more time if in case you don't understand. So I'm just waiting to see to make sure everyone got it. So if you didn't do this, so ask me a question if you don't understand. If you don't do sum up, you don't ask question, and then I'm going to call your name, right? Because I don't understand why. Because you either understand it or you don't understand it. If you don't understand it, ask me a question, okay? So if I don't see your sum up, if you don't ask me a question, I'm going to call your name, okay? Okay, let's do one more time, sum up. And I want to see who don't understand and who have question. Okay, it's still 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Nick, do you have a question? Anu, do you have a question?
No.
No? Okay. Payson, do you have a question?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Judith, do you have a question? Okay. So I assume everyone understand this, okay? So what I will do is maybe I should post this, right? I'm gonna post it to the, I'm gonna post the both, okay? I'm gonna post the both document to the Moodle website, okay? So if you don't have any questions, we are done today. I just want to remind you that don't forget about the assignment and quiz on Friday, okay? And I will post these 2 documents to the Moodle website, okay? So if you don't have any questions, it's too early to say have a good weekend, but I will say that anyways, Wednesday, right? Have an awesome weekend, okay? We'll see
Thank you.
See you guys on Monday.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great weekend, Wei Ming.
Thank you.